Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fearlessly Authentic. I'm your host, Jody Harrison Bauer, and I'm so excited to have you join me for today's guest. I can't wait to introduce her. And if you are new to the show, you are in the right place. If you want to be educated, empowered, yes, we are going to entertain you a little bit and hopefully inspire you to live your most fearlessly authentic life. Because for somebody who was afraid to take risks for most of her life, and decided finally one day she had had enough. Yes, that was me. There is no time in our life to spend it in fear and stopping us from living our best life, because it truly is a waste of time. And hopefully today will inspire you even more to get moving and to overcome any obstacles that you have about getting older and lots of other juicy things that we're going to get into. So remember to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. This is a live show right now, so we have over 100 countries listening to the show, Natalie.
Wow.
So that's very exciting. And one day I will figure out how to go live on Facebook. You can teach me after the show. And you could also check us out on YouTube. I am at Jody Harrison Bauer on every single social platform. So you can check out my beautiful guest here today, Natalie Jill, and check out what we sound like and what we look like. And it's just fun to sort of just see how we talk and interact sometimes, rather than just hearing people talk. But don't do it while you're driving. And I think that's about it. So welcome to the show, Natalie.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm so excited. We met on Instagram and we figured out that we were like, you're like my younger sister, that, that it's just, we have so much in common. But I want to introduce you to everybody who's listening. So we have Natalie Jill on the show. She is a midlife expert who helps women redefine healthy aging, with 2 best-selling fat loss books that sold out in stores everywhere and numerous TV appearances on shows like The Doctors. She built a 7-figure fat loss business that transformed over 250,000 women's bodies and health. Over 50 years old herself, she is changing conversations around age, potential, and possibility. In addition to her midlife fat loss business, she helps founders, executives, and CEOs skyrocket their sales and find more money through up-leveling their vision, dialing in their messaging, expanding their brand online, and fixing their sales process. She used the exact methods she teaches to grow her globally recognized fat loss and fitness brand, with well over 3 million social media followers worldwide, 2 best-selling books, a top-ranked podcast, and recognition from Forbes and Greatest several years running as one of the top health and wellness influencers in the world. Woo. Wow. That's a lot. You've accomplished a lot. That's crazy. How does that feel to hear that?
I need you to walk around with me all the time and introduce me like that, and I'll feel really good about myself, I suppose.
Right. Even with somebody as accomplished as you in such a short period of time, I'm sure there are still times that you're like, I'm not doing enough to help other people. Do you ever feel that way?
So it's more that I just feel like I'm like everybody else. So when people say, oh my gosh, you've accomplished so much, or you've helped change my life, or whether it's an individual or I hear about helping the masses, honestly, I just feel like I'm like everybody else. Everything that I've created in life, every time I've stepped into helping people, it's because of a problem that I overcame. It's always that way. So when I think about how I started my fat loss business in my late 30s, I'm 51 as we record this. That started from my own issues and my own problems. I had my own personal setback in 2007. I had lost my house. I'd gained a lot of weight. I was a new single mom. I was going through a divorce. I had like all the stuff happening to me. And I was having this victim conversation in my head. And a turning point for me was saying, what can I actually control? What can I actually start focusing on? What can I actually start shifting and changing? And what I found from that was that health and fitness and workouts and nutrition changed my whole life there. It changed my whole life. So that's what I started leading others through. So I've continued to do that. Whatever I'm navigating in life, I think of myself as a teacher. I'm a forever student and I'm a teacher. And I think we learn things best when we walk through them and then we teach them back. So everything I've created, every time I've helped somebody, anything new I've done, it's always because of a journey I'm personally walking through and I figured out how to master.
And you were brave enough to share it. So a lot of people don't share their journeys that they might feel judged for example, getting divorced, having a small child. I mean, those are not things that we should be judged on. I'm
Mhm.
also divorced, but for like 21, 22 years, I've lost count already. It's been so long.
Yeah. Mine's
But
been years now. It's been,
it,
years. But yeah,
but
I don't have this. It's interesting because I've always said, and I say to everybody, any of my coaching clients, I always say, when in doubt, tell the truth. It's like literally when in doubt, tell the truth, because the truth, your authentic truth is what connects you to others. When we try to hide that stuff, when it looks fake, people don't feel a connection. There's no integrity with it. So I don't mean share things in a doomsday, like my life is over way, but you share what you're navigating. Like I'm very vocal these days about midlife. I make fun of the eyelids. I make fun of, I did a big post yesterday. I was asking, should I get Botox or bangs? Like they both cover your forehead, but bangs are cheaper. I was just like, I just,
right.
I ask, I'm talking about what I'm walking through, what I'm navigating. And that is what ends up helping and relating to other people. Cause people feel alone. They feel alone in whatever they're struggling. And if we're not out there sharing what we're struggling with and what we're navigating, then we're leaving people alone.
It's interesting that you talk about sharing the struggles, because everybody does feel alone at some point during their life when they're struggling with something. But so many times we feel that it's just us. So
Mm-hmm.
when I was going through my divorce, there was no social media. It was
Yeah.
2002. So I shared it by myself. None of my friends were divorced. I had no outlet whatsoever. I had the support of a few friends, but most of my friends thought I was crazy for
Yeah.
leaving such a fabulous lifestyle. And nobody could understand
Mm-mm.
why I made the decision. And I wish that I had a community back then, because
Mm-hmm.
that would have been so helpful. So I appreciate what you're doing, especially that you're bringing menopause. That was when I
Mm-hmm.
opened my business. I was going through menopause.
Yeah.
I was training clients and saying, hold on a second. And I'd just whoosh, a
Yeah.
big hot flash.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about it and we're normalizing
Yeah.
it. And when was the first time you decided to start sharing
So
maybe some menopausal
yeah.
symptoms?
So, well, first and foremost, I think I came out of my mom's womb sharing. Like I'm an overshare. I share everything. There's nothing I don't talk about. There's nothing I don't. I love connecting with people and sharing journeys. And I've had a number of different careers, a number of different jobs, and there are different things that I do or sell or write about. But the theme is always something I'm walking through and navigating, and then sharing lessons from it. That's just been my whole story. So it's very like me to share all the things. Like I just share. So when I was in fitness and fat loss, I quickly became a top fitness expert. It was really crazy to me because I didn't even start fitness until my late 30s. And all of a sudden I'm, on all these shows and things being called this top fitness expert. And I would kind of like giggle at it. Like, what do you mean I'm a top fitness expert? There's people that have so many more credentials than me, but
Right.
because I was so relatable to people, it put me on the map quick. And because I was actually walking through it put me on the map quick. So fitness and fat loss really started feeling inauthentic to me a couple of years ago. But the reason is I built a whole brand unintentionally because I was just helping women with what I was walking through.
Right.
And I was depressed and overweight and broke. And now I was getting abs and becoming a fitness model. Like that was my story then.
Mm-hmm.
That's not who I am now. Who I was then is not who I am now. So it was starting to feel really inauthentic to me to be catering to the new moms, to be catering to how do I get a six pack? Like that just it felt disconnected to me. So I shifted that into fat loss and I was really focusing on 40 plus women, but even that was just starting to feel shallow to me. No judgment on people that crush it. I know that's like what you do. A lot of people are amazing at
No,
fitness.
you know what? I'm so glad. I'm going to just interrupt you because I know that I've gone through different phases also.
Yeah.
Even the way I started my Instagram was just like, I guess they call
Sure.
them hot pictures, right?
Yeah.
Of this is a hot older woman. And then it's totally shifted. And
Yeah.
I've lost a lot of people because of that, but I didn't really care
Right.
because
Cause
that's
you have
not
to be
who I
you.
was
Yes. You got it.
anymore.
You got
I'm
it.
like, I don't want the 20-year-olds looking at me
No.
anymore. I want to help
Yeah,
other
I fully get
women.
it. So people were very mad at me when I left fitness. I mean,
Mhm.
really mad. I mean, some of my long-term clients in my communities and things, they understood. I was very real with people. I said, this is why
Yeah.
I'm doing it. People that really went along with me all through my coaching programs, they knew I was practicing what I teach to follow my passion, to follow my authentic self. But people that had bought a couple programs were really mad. And I had to really look at the people pleasing behind that. Like, well, do I stay here at something I'm good at? Or do I take a step back to go where I'm great? And is it about just serving other people with what they want? Or is it about serving other people in a higher way they don't even realize they need yet? And I really thought, I've got to set the chapter there. I've got to step into your next chapters, really. And I wasn't moving quick enough at it. And so that's when I feel like God steps in because then I ruptured a disc in my back. I tore my bicep. It was like one thing after the next. I broke my foot. Like literally in 2 years, I had 4 injuries, 5 major surgeries. Like it was almost like, okay, you're not moving fast enough. So we're going to do this for you. So it was like, so all of a sudden I get thrown into all these injuries. I'm now approaching 50 at the time and my body's changing, things change, they change. I mean, yes, you can look amazing at 50, but gravity still happens. It just does. Like things still happen. You start lifting up your eyes. I need reading glasses. I'm having the hot flashes. So my thought was, well, this doesn't feel good to be teaching how to get a 6-pack anymore. It's just not, it doesn't feel like me. So can I do that? Sure. I have lots of programs. You can still get those programs from me. I have books in stores. It's all the information still works.
Right.
That's just not where I am now. I'm having fun poking fun at aging. I'm navigating it. And honestly, my big mission, Jody, is to seriously rebrand aging. I think we're super unrepresented.
I agree. And I love what you're saying and had the courage again, maybe it was a sign from God, whatever it was, but you had the courage to change. And I felt similarly to when I closed my studio. It was like, I'm done. I'm done training women. I'm done. I've done it for over 30 years. I cannot do it. This isn't who I am anymore.
Yes.
And
we can have different chapters and it's okay. And I want women to know it's okay to have different chapters of your life.
Right. I would walk into places and people would just say Jody Fit all the time. And I had a billboard where I punched like that. And I would walk into restaurants, into any place, and people would go, Jody Fit. I'm like, I'm not her anymore.
Yeah.
And it's kind of sad, right? Did you feel that way to sort of say
it was,
goodbye?
I had to get past the whole, I still deal with it till this day. I have a brand new, I've had Natalie Jill Fitness for years. My emails, everything comes from that. And I have a new website, Midlife Conversations. And I ran into the problem of we can't send emails from a new domain when you have there's all these little things, everything always pops up of why I have to stay Natalie Jill Fit. So it keeps coming back at me. So, it's part of my story. So I just speak into it versus getting mad about it. It is what it is. My YouTube channel is Natalie Jill Fitness. It will be forever. My social media handles are Natalie Jill Fit. That's fine. It's still part of my journey. It's just not, there's more to me and there's more to what I offer than that.
And, when you talk about Natalie Jill Fitness, it's when I started my business and I was talking to my younger sister and I asked her, I said, I don't know what to call myself. And she said, Jody Fit. And I told her I was interviewing you today. And she's like, oh, that's so cute. And I'm like, yeah, there are a lot of us out there. But, when you were talking about the people pleasing part, and I do want to touch upon that because I think not to clump us together, but I am for right now, people like us who like to help other people don't want to let other people down.
Yeah.
So how did you navigate that?
Yeah, I've gotten past it because I just tell the truth. Again, I always tell the truth. And I do this all the time. I have to have this conversation with myself daily with if someone's disappointed with me, as long as you're speaking about why it's true to you, if people have an issue with that, that's a them problem. It's a them problem.
Right.
So, and I don't mean break commitments, break promises. I don't do that. If I say I'm a yes to something, I'm a yes to it. But, I've turned down a lot. I've turned down a lot of opportunities, a lot of interviews in the last year, a lot, because it doesn't align with where I'm headed. It doesn't align with what I'm speaking into anymore. And that it does let people down. It also lets my family down in some ways because it's financial things. When I shut down my fat loss and fitness, that's a huge financial disruption. But I believe that when you focus on your true self, your true calling, you will exponentially increase and grow and help more.
It doesn't come outright anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
And the bottom line is I still can't, the thing is if somebody's navigating this right now, it's not that you can't people can still buy my books. Like I said,
sure.
I still do brand deals around fitness. There's still stuff there. It's just not where I put my majority energy anymore. So it's not that I'm pulling everything off the shelves and saying, too bad you can't do it.
Still
it's just
part
not
of
where
you.
my focus is. Yeah.
Right. So your focus now is to change the conversation about getting older, because so many of us are
Yes.
staying older longer. So
Yes.
50 used to feel ancient. I'm 62. I thought I would be dead in the ground by now. Not really. I don't think I'm ever going to die.
No.
But last week when I had salmonella food poisoning,
Oh
I thought I
gosh.
was going to die. But yeah, I was like, okay, I think I could get through this whole show today. But it's beautiful how people are embracing their ages
Mhm.
and taking charge of how they do want to age. And I think a
Yes.
lot of that has to do with the conversations that are getting more and more out there, let's just say with Martha Stewart on the cover of Sports Illustrated, for whatever that's worth. But, just talking about that, getting older doesn't mean that we're not relevant, that we're not
No,
vital,
we're
we
not.
have nothing to contribute anymore.
So if you were to Google, it's a fun exercise when you're not driving or when you're not listening to this. If you go Google, 50 plus, 60 plus year old woman, what shows up? You're going to see pictures of what looks like your grandparents. And you're
Right.
like that doesn't feel representing to me. That doesn't feel like me. It doesn't feel like my friends. It doesn't feel aspirational. I feel like we've rebranded and redefined that. So a couple things I want, especially women to hear me say is, one, you are absolutely not too old and not too late. Just because society, media, one generation, your friends, whoever told you that aging has to be a specific way doesn't mean it has to be. And there is so much more. Now, where we do start dying and we do start getting depressed and we do start lacking and feeling doomsday is when we start getting validation that we're irrelevant and we're washed up. So what's important? A couple things. Number one, community. You've got to have a community of people, of other women like you. Now, if you don't have that in your world, if you don't have those friends right now, you listen to podcasts like this, you find them on social media, you join communities. One of the big things I'm doing, what I've been focused on for the last year is my rollout of a Your Next Chapter community, which is just for the approaching an over 50 woman. But you find communities that actually do get you and where you feel seen, heard, and understood. And then the biggest thing, the reason we lose touch and we start feeling irrelevant is when we lose passion and purpose. So it's so critical to have goals, to have up levels, like decide what's next for yourself. Like really, like go for things. Are you ready to write a book? Are you ready to start a business? Are you ready to get into a relationship? Like whatever it is, but that's where we can really start leveling up. When you stop focusing on a next step for yourself, a next chapter, that's when you start really silently dying.
You do. You get sad because you don't know what's next. And for so many of us, we want to know what's the next step. What's the next step? When we have a child, we know, okay, the next step is going to be raising that child. When we get married, that type of thing, when we open up a business. But then, and I will be honest with you and tell you that since I closed my business and in the last year, since September, I have been trying to figure out, what do I do next? I have all of these ideas because am I too tired? Do I want to do this? It's okay if you're tired, Jody. You've been hustling for a long time. And it's sort of giving myself this grace in the past almost a year to just figure things out. But I totally agree with you. It could be the smallest of goals, but something's got to keep us going. And even if it is, and not just a community, but to find that community where other women are trying to figure their stuff out too for the future.
Yes.
Because as you said at the very beginning, so many of us are going through the same things. We just don't know
many of us.
We just don't know who they are yet.
And to not make it all about, now, granted, like obviously you and I care about appearance. I mean, no question. Like we look like sisters. We got the same hair. We got all the things.
Well, thank you.
I'm not going away from like the caring about appearance thing. However, It's not all about appearance. Like we're going to get older. Things are going to change. So how do we navigate that? Because it's scary. And honestly, I cringe sometimes when I see pictures of people and they're like, and I've done it too, Jody, but it's like, this is 50, this is 60. And we're like, but they just look good for 50 or 60. No one thinks they're 20. So we've got to take the focus off of like, I have to look 20 again. I have to look 30 again. And there's just more to us.
I don't think any of us, and I'm going to use the age, really over 50 are trying to look like we're 25.
No,
I don't think any of us want to look like our younger daughters. It's not about that. It's really, and this is what I used to tell my clients, is I'm going to make you the best version of you that you want to be.
That's great.
I will take you as far as you want to go. I will help you with everything, but they come to me thinking they're doing one thing, but it's really
Right.
about firing them up again and finding that
Yeah.
passion and that purpose in there, leaving a job, leaving a marriage, getting married, whatever it is. But it's so much more. And in that midlife time is a great time to figure out who you want to be next. And isn't
Yeah,
that
you can
exciting?
reinvent. You can
Yeah,
reinvent. You can decide. So deciding fully comes first. And I used to teach that in fat loss too. Like you can't, people come to me and say, I just want to lose weight. And I say,
right.
well, what's your decision? And they just say, I don't want to be fat. I'm like, well, that's not a decision. A decision is like, this is my decision. So we can do that same thing with this next chapter of our life. Like, what is your decision? What do you want to create? Like sometimes I ask people, how long do you want to live? And like, people don't even think about that. They're like,
Mm.
well, I don't know. I'm like, well, what if you did know? How long would you want to live? And then they'll go off of some average or what their parents did or something. And I'm like,
Right.
well, if you're not actually deciding and thinking this through, like I know right now at 50, 51, that if I'm going to live to 100 and be healthy at 100, like have my wits about me, be strong,
I'm
what do I got
there.
to do right now? Like to make sure I'm set up for that, because I can tell you not working out and not eating well is not going to set me up for that. So it's really truly deciding what is it that you actually want. Like for me, I don't want to be in pain. So what does that mean? Well, it means I better move my body every day, better eat well, I better take care of things. What do you actually want?
Right. No, I think that's a really, really great question. I don't think too many people will sit with themselves. And
Mm.
that's one of the things I wanted to talk about next is the mindset. So let's talk about mindset
Yeah.
and menopause/midlife,
Mm-hmm.
because you are more than likely going to go through menopause in your 50s. If you haven't started in your late 40s already, you might be one of those lucky ones who are like 55, 56 and don't go through it yet. I know if you are still getting your period and you're 55 and you're thinking, oh shit,
Mm-hmm.
when will this ever stop? Trust me, it's the fountain of youth. You don't want it to stop yet, but it should stop soon, because
Yeah.
having your period too long isn't that great either.
Yeah.
So what type of help do you give
So
women
yeah,
with
so
that
let's start with
mindset?
this. There's three words I'm going to give you, and these are like these three words. Write them wherever you need to write them. But honestly, they are the backbone of everything that I teach. Everything. If I were to rewind anyone successful at anything, honestly, Jody, they've done these three things. I am 100% positive that you did these three things with your podcast, with your business, you usually with your life, with your appearance, with everything. Okay, so number one is decision. You have to start with decisions. Most people jump into action without thinking through, what am I actually deciding? And that's pointless. You get to make a decision in all different areas of your life of what it is that you want. Just decide it, like literally decide it and declare it. Like, I'm deciding that I'm going to release these 50 pounds this year. I'm deciding that I'm going to get my retirement order. I'm deciding that I'm going to fix my marriage. I'm deciding that whatever, I'm going to start a business. What is it that you're actually deciding? That's number one. But every single
I
thing is
love that.
possible, but you have to decide first. That's number one. Don't do any actions until you do, by the way, because you're wasting time.
You can't.
Like,
You
no,
can't. It's
that's
like
like when you go to
it's
even when you go to the gym, like, you know how it goes. Sometimes you just walk in and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing today. Or sometimes you're like, I've decided I'm doing this. And it's like, it's a whole different experience, right?
yeah, or
When you know what
sometimes
you've
you sit in
decided.
the car for an hour and
Oh,
go,
I do that
shit,
all the time.
I
Yeah.
don't
That's
feel
'cause I
like
didn't
working
decide.
out.
Yeah.
Right,
Cause I didn't
right.
decide. Right. So I've done that too. So you decide and then when that happens, by the way, I'll say things like, okay, I'm deciding to go in for 15 minutes. And if I don't change it in 15 minutes, I'm out. Like, so that's still a decision.
And that's a promise to yourself
Yes.
also, which helps build confidence. But
Yes.
go ahead.
Number two, and it sounds like a hokey word, but I'll say it a million times, it's vision. Okay. So if you were to get in a car and just start driving, like, where the heck do you end up? Like, well, who knows? I mean, how's the traffic? How fast does your car go? Do you have gas? But that's not what we do. We usually get in the car and know where we're headed and we end up there. So vision is knowing your actual destination and working from that. So not working to it, working from that. Like, if you know you want this, you know you want to be in your best shape, your best, whatever it is, get laser clear on that vision. Like, spend more time visualizing, what does that actually mean? Most people would be surprised to know I listen to or read about 5 books a week continually. Like
Wow.
I always have audibles. I am an avid learner. I am constantly, and what am I listening to? Things that help me get to my next level vision. I'm super clear on where I'm headed, what I'm creating, what I'm growing, what I'm after, which is a different vision than I had 10 years ago, by the way. So what I'm listening to and reading is stuff that's going to help me get there. Clients that
Absolutely.
I take on are things that I can practice those skills in. Like everything revolves around my vision. I don't take actions that don't relate to my vision. If someone asks me for an opportunity, I weigh it. Does it fit into my vision? Nope.
My
Then I
my
don't do
husband
it.
asked me, he sees more and more books coming in. He's like, how
Mhm.
many books are you reading right
Yeah.
now? I'm like, I've got like 5 books going
Yeah.
on right now. Either like you said,
I'm always
Audible. I've
reading.
got my yellow highlighter highlighting
Yeah.
things. And I do that every morning for
Yep.
an hour when I have my coffee,
Yep.
because that's my quiet time.
And if you don't have quiet time, like which I don't feel like I do sometimes, I'm listening to them in the shower, when I'm driving,
Yep.
when I'm waiting, I mean, it's just a constant when I walk, like it's always on. Like I will
Mhm.
like, that's pretty much every time I'm driving, unless my daughter's in the car, I'm listening to that. Like that is what I do. So, but every yes fits into vision. Like you said, do you want to be on my podcast? Yes, because your audience is in my vision of who I'm serving. So if
Right.
you were 25, I would have been a no. That's just everything fits into vision or not. So that is your scale. That's your mindset for your vision. Your question, do I feel like getting up today? Do I feel like doing this? Well, does it fit into your vision? If your vision's actually to relax more and be less stressed out, then maybe you should sleep in like that. But that's, it's all what
But
is
that's your
your,
decision. That's your
yeah.
decision for your vision. And
Yeah.
then what's number 3?
Okay. So number 3 is action.
Okay.
But here's the thing with action. Action has to be after the foundation of decision and vision. So action is all those things you do. It's all those habits. It's all those pieces, all those moves you make, all those steps forward, but they have to be layered on top of decision and vision. Otherwise they don't work. When you think you don't have willpower or you're not motivated, it's because you're not clear on your decision and vision. So action are all those things that you take. Now, if you layer all those together, you can literally be an entirely different person in a year, an entirely different person by changing your thoughts, actions, and habits. So that all ties into decision, vision, action. You change those things and you start taking actions towards those things, you will be an entirely different person.
I'm glad you touched on willpower when you talked about these 3 things, because so many people do blame themselves and say, I just don't have the willpower to do this, this, or this, just using fitness, for example, to,
It's because it's not
release.
their decision or vision.
Exactly.
That's why,
And
that's
that's
fine.
why
Yeah.
there's such a high failure rate. We could be the best coaches in the world. We know we're
That's
great
right.
at what we do. We know our shit.
So Jody,
But
I don't take clients until we get clear on those 2 things, and no matter what or what, like when I was doing that with fat loss, or
Yeah.
when I've done that with my sales clients, like I have to be clear on where are we headed? Where's the pointer going? Or I'm not going to help them. Otherwise it doesn't work.
It doesn't, because you just go around in
No.
circles. You've wasted your time. They've wasted their money, and it's not going anywhere.
I saw somebody yesterday, is a doctor, and he mentioned that he had read all my books. He's super overweight. And I said, awesome. Are you going to do them? And he said, oh, he started with the whole reasons, all the things. And he said, but the books are really good. And I said, well, they don't do any good just reading them. And he's like, no, I got to find the time. I'm like, you don't have to find the time. You have to find the decision. What's your decision?
What do you say to that?
Yeah. I mean, he didn't have anything to say to that, but I'm sure he'll think about it. But that's what it is. I mean, it's literally, you are always a decision away from change.
And decisions are really hard and scary for people to make at times. Why do you think
then you
that?
make a lesser one? If your decision feels hard and scary, then maybe make a smaller one. Like your decision, if it's scary to lose 100 pounds, start with 10, so, or start with 5.
Right.
Just start with something.
There's nothing to be afraid of. And everybody thinks
you're scared to start a business. Start with, I'm going to make an extra $100. Like, just start with something.
Right. And a lot of people think it's just action, but where's that action going to go? I'm a very long thinker. I think things out. I don't take any action until I've got all my ducks in a row. Sometimes that could be a little bit of a stall for me, and I know other people. So I'm aware of it, and I would help my clients do that, not stall in their place and just get into paralysis analysis, which happens often with lots of decisions to be made. Because you know why? I think it's because you're not clear as to what it is that you want to do.
Yes. And that's why. So it really shouldn't be that hard. What I would do with somebody that's really stuck is we'll start with, what do you not want? Right. And then we pick, what's the one thing, if we start here, that it would move forward everything else. So like typically in midlife, it is going to be something with confidence or appearance or body or health, like something around that. Because my experience is women, we get confident around that. And now we want to start a whole business, or we want to start, it's like, that's the next thing. So you start with the area of your life that will move the biggest needle. Some people it's financial. Some people it's their relationship. If you're in a bad relationship, that is going to, until you address that, we can't address other things.
Right. Right.
If you have a horrible job and it's killing you and creating stress, like we can't do anything until we address that. So what's the one thing you have to address and change first? What's the decision around that? And that moves everything else forward.
And it's so true, because people don't want to address that big, big elephant in the room. They think everything else is around it, but it's actually that biggest thing that you don't want to confront. That is the thing that needs to start changing in your life, like walking away from a relationship.
Yeah.
Like walking away from people.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I've done that
and
many times. Lots of people.
Right. And I think that's probably a big thing that you talk about in going through midlife is you are no longer that person you were in your 30s and 40s to that friend of yours. It's okay to walk away. So tell me some of the things that you help women with, or you discuss on the podcast that.
Yeah. So I am no longer the expert. I mean, I would say, yes, I'm an expert with goal achievement. Like that is the reason I was so good at fat loss and nutrition and helping people with goals. And honestly, with sales is because I'm really flipping good at goal achievement. Goal achievement. If I know the destination, I help people get there. That's just what I do. But I'm not the expert on all the midlife topics, but I'm a good facilitator of it. So my summit, my podcast, my community, I feature experts, the best of the best on hormones, on gut health, on all the things that we need to learn. And because I'm navigating it and walking through it too, I'm able to pull and curate great information out of them. I use the resource that I have a platform, that I have the reach, that I have the experience to be able to get some of these amazing experts in to communicate and help us. So really what I do is I connect a lot of the information that we need in midlife. My whole goal is to help you rebrand it, honestly, to see that there's a bigger possibility for yourself. If you're feeling like this sucks right now and I'm depressed and I have to be quiet about it, you don't. There is help. And it's not the kind of help of like your doctor just telling you to accept it. It's not that. There's another lens to look through. There's another way to go about this that you can actually, there's a lot of, do you know there's 52 million, Jody, women between the ages of 40 and 62 in the US?
I did not know that.
52 million of us. That's a big number. And we are super unrepresented.
We really are. I know. I have been trying to talk about this with my videos on Instagram and TikTok, letting people know that, again, that we are very, very much relevant.
Yes. And instead of dismissing people like Jody or me or someone that might trigger you when you see it on social and go, oh, well, they look good or they are doing it. Instead of doing that, ask for help. That's the thing. Like, that's like, learn from these people. When I was a trainer, and you've probably had experiences like this too, Jody, I remember very clearly one day I was training this woman, and when I asked her what she wanted for herself, because I got her very clear on her decision and her vision, she described this body that she wanted. I want to be a size 4. I want to have the curvy waist. She went like that. I want to look like, she described what she wanted to look like. I want to be able to wear the cute workout outfits. I want people's heads to turn when I walk in. She had the vision down. Well, we're training and this woman walks in that fits the whole description. Okay. She's gorgeous. She walks in, the cute outfit, the little butt, the whole thing. And my client looks at her, rolls her eyes and goes, oh, well, that probably cost a lot. Completely dismissed her. Right. And I said, interesting. This was the vision you wanted. Did you see how you just dismissed it and cut it off? Like your vision's never going to happen when you shut it down like that. Right. And it was a huge aha moment for her. And she saw that. I said, instead of that, you should be asking, what is she doing?
I love that. I absolutely love that. And there needs to be more of that than just trying to cut us down or tell grandma to get off TikTok, which I get often. Grandma, get off TikTok. So it's just like, okay, all right, go live.
You have to ignore those. And there's people, but for those of you dishing that out, I want you to look at like why you're dishing that out, because if you want to level up your life, that's not the way to do it. I'm just saying, like, that's not going to get you anywhere. That might make you feel a little better about yourself in the moment, knocking someone else down. I promise you it's not affecting the person you're knocking down, because we don't care. We
No,
don't.
because we're actually here to help them.
Yeah.
We want to help them. So what do you find is the biggest issue that you're dealing with and maybe other women are dealing with
Mm.
at 51?
So the biggest issue I'm dealing with is just things change. Honestly, how rapidly things start changing. Like
Mhm.
I did not understand this at 49. I'm telling you, like it was quick,
Right.
like 49 to 51, a whole different story. Like just things start, like your voice starts changing. You're like, just things change. And it's like a new thing every day. I'm like, oh, well, that's a new thing I didn't think about. And I start like yesterday, I'm checking in to get blood work done, and they send you the QR code to my text, and it says, scan this QR code when you're here. And I'm thinking, looking at my phone for like 10 minutes, like, how do you scan a QR code that's on your phone already? Like I literally for the life of me couldn't figure it out. And I'm like, is this like a me thing, or is this an old person? Like, what is this? So just these little things that just pop up. Like I think of running. I used to think this is amazing. We get a runner's high. Now I think of pain. Like it doesn't,
Right.
it's just different. Or I think of you, we want to go to dinner and you say 8 o'clock and I'm like, what? Like, can we meet at 5? I'm
Right.
in bed by 8.
Right.
So just
Right.
these little changes and kind of laughing at myself with it, because those things are real. And just these realizations that I used to make fun of that, like with my mom, and here that's me now. So little of that. And then the appearance thing really does mess with, I can't say it messes with everybody, but if you are somebody that did get ahead because of looks, I'm just being real here. Like a lot of women use looks for things. I mean, I was a freaking fitness model.
Yeah.
That is a rude wake up call. It is, because it changes. And when you're used to that, it's a hard pill to swallow to learn how to walk through that.
It is. I agree with you. I competed for 10 years,
Yeah.
2-time bikini model. And it's just, it does, because that's when you develop, if you don't have a healthy mindset about who you are,
Yeah.
deep down, it can screw with your head. It can mess up your mindset. And that's why I think mindset going through your 50s. And then even I have had huge changes happen since I turned 60.
For sure. It's going to keep happening. I'm sure 70 will be another level.
Yeah. It's like, man,
we get new surprises.
Just like, I was talking to my 30-year-old daughter yesterday and talking about menopause and so on. And she's like, Mom, is it really that bad? I said, Lexi, it's just like a cruel joke that God plays on us. It really is a cruel joke, but it doesn't have to be gloom and doom.
I wouldn't even describe it as that bad. It's just kind of amusing. It's like, oh, really? Okay, here we go.
It just screws with you. It just screws with you, right? And going back to the foundation of, I think, who we both are is fitness and health and wellness, is that if we don't have that foundation going into these challenging times, and ladies, it's not that bad, but it's, if you're prepared for it, you know, mind, body, and soul, then you're going to be open to, okay, this is going to happen. I know how to eat. I know how to work out. I know how to, you know, balance myself and tension, because all of these, our hormones are just going crazy. Do you agree?
That, and the answer is not like what I just said about like appearances changing and things like that. When people are like, oh, just age gracefully, like that's not, I don't think that's realistic information there, especially if you were like, I know I'll speak for myself. I spent years in my teens and 20s trying to look a certain way. Like I did all the things. I had the breast implants. I'm not saying I should have, but I did. I did all the things. So there's a lot of women out there that chase beauty standards that we didn't create. That's just been what's going on in our world for as long as I can remember. Right. So that's how a lot of us, especially us Generation X, like we grew up that way. We grew up that way. So to yank it out, we didn't have what's going on in the world right now of just like everything, all the body positivity and all that. We grew up with, you should be a stick figure with big boobs. Like you need to look like a Barbie, period. Like that's what we grew up with. Right.
Yes.
So we chased it.
Right. And then being in the fitness industry and competing and doing all of those things, then you just really start getting a very messed up idea of what it's like to age. And I don't like when people say to me, oh, just let the gray hair go. And I don't like gray hair. I don't
I'll
look
be
good
95
in
and
hair.
I'm going to be coloring it.
Right. Yeah. Like I have to
I'm sorry. I got to say, Jody, when people say they look so great, I don't think anyone looks better with it. So I'm saying they look older. Some people look beautiful with it, but they do look older. You look older.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I know. Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't personally choose it. I love it for you. Anyone else that chooses it, you can be amazing with it. Get on with yourself.
No,
I just don't choose it for me.
No, it's not good for me. There's just not a good, it's not a good
I'm in
look
this
for
line.
me.
I'm going to be coloring it every 3 weeks. I don't care. I'll be in the
Are you
home.
coloring it every 3 weeks?
Yes. Otherwise it's like a skunk.
Yeah, I had to do it before we got on today
Yeah, I
because it
have
was
the
just
root
like,
spray in between. It does not
yeah,
happen. I will not be gray. My mom is 76 and still coloring. So I'm just,
yeah.
that'll be me too.
My mom, when she passed away, she was still getting her hair colored.
Yeah. Mine
So
will be
it's,
colored.
and that's the whole thing, Natalie, is that women need to understand and accept the fact that they can age the way they want.
Yes.
And they shouldn't listen to what society is saying, which is what you've said. Oh, just grow old, gracefully. Just let the gray hair, let the saggy skin come in, let your boobs hang down to their knees. That's not for me.
Yeah, if
But
that's for them though, yeah,
but
they can go for
if
it.
that's the way you want to grow older, that's cool. But
Yeah.
don't put it on me, and don't go out
No.
there saying that people who don't age like that are less than. And I
Yeah,
think that's really what the conversation needs to be, is to, just as if we're talking about body positivity, we need to talk about age positivity
yeah,
and aging the way we want to age. There's no right or wrong way, but if you do want to age without pain, then you do need to exercise and eat
for
healthy.
sure. You
And
absolutely do.
that needs to be the foundation of everything. You can't get away from it, right?
No, I mean, you cannot get away from it. And I've added like things, just even knowing your gut health, knowing your toxins, like just another layer of things to know what I mean, I'm certainly not perfect at it. Look, like I said, I have breast implants. I've had them since I was 19. I'm not, but
I have them too.
I'll use non-toxic cleaner. You don't have to be perfect. You just do the things that you can do and you work on being the best you possible, and you live your life, like you would say, fearlessly authentic, and you step into your next chapter and you do you, and you find others that lift you up and support you being you. If people do not, and they try to tear you down, they're not your people.
Has that happened to you?
Well, they get out of my life when they are. I've had
Mm,
many people in my life that they're not part of my life anymore though, because
right.
when I see that, I have the most amazing group of friends and mentors and people. Like, I have such great friends, but I've built that. I've curated that over the years.
Right.
I collect people, honestly. Like, I collect people, because if someone's they don't earn a space in my life just because they've been there for years. Like, if that's somebody, I remember when I was even at 35 getting into fitness, and I had people tell me that they were mortified by me. Like, that felt old. Like, they're not
Right.
my friends anymore.
Right. Same thing.
I want women that lift up, support, empower, encourage, because I do the same for them. There's
And
no
the group,
space for
and
opposite.
yeah, and the group gets smaller. And I'm sure that our daughters are always watching us,
Mhm.
whether they're, in their teens or like mine
Yep.
in their 30s, they're always watching us. And it's really important for me, as I'm sure it is for you, to be that role model and not to include toxic people into your life, because it
That's
doesn't
right.
help with anything. So I'm
No.
curious, when it's time for you to pivot, like you did, and make the decision, have the vision, take the action. Are you quick to make the decision? What type of process do you go through, or do you help
Yeah.
other people go
So
through?
typically I make decisions every day very quickly. But big pivots usually take some time. Like, I knew 2 years ago that I was done with fitness, and it took me 2 years to get clear on what was next for me. So what I knew was I knew I was headed someplace else. I knew I needed space in my vision. I knew I needed to create space for creativity. What I started doing, and when I suggest to anyone in that space, is you start feeling like what lights you up, where do you have flow, and what's dragging you down, and you start doing more of what lights you up and less of what doesn't. One of the things that I did last year in January, which was huge for me, is I did something called an expansion challenge, where I challenged myself every single day for 30 days to do something I'd never done before, every day. And it was a really powerful 30 days for me, because I spent time like literally going like whale watching on a tour bus, like on a
I
boat.
love
Like,
it.
I just did like any things that were out of my norm. I forgot about the to-do list. I just did things. And it just gave me some space to really create and think. And it came to me. I mean, then once I decided, like, oh, this is my aim, this is what I'm doing, then I move fast once I'm clear on what that. But there's nothing wrong with taking some space or time to really think. But while you're doing that, start getting clear on at least what lights you up and what doesn't, and spend more time on what lights you up.
I have like a rule that I follow. And I remember when I was building my studio that I was getting overwhelmed with all the decisions I had to make. just aesthetics and things like that. And I remember the decorator saying to me, Jody, you really have a hard time making decisions. I'm like, no, I actually do not have a hard time making decisions. You're just not giving me what I
Oh,
want to
wow.
see.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
And then once she got deeper and we communicated better, I was like, that's what I want. I
Yes.
know what I want. I know exactly what
When
I
you
want
see it, when you have the choices.
when I see it, but
Yeah, so you have to clean the slate. So just the other
right.
day, I took my hair like 5 shades darker, and I knew I didn't want it light anymore. And when the girl that does my hair, she said, I'm going to clean the slate before we figure out how we're low lighting. She like toned it all to one color before
It
we
looks
started
really
over.
pretty.
Thank you. But she said, she actually used those words. I'm going to clear the slate. And I thought, oh, that's what I do in life. Sometimes when you're not sure, you clear the slate, you take off things that you know are at least not working. Just get rid of all the stuff you know is not working. Just like
Right.
declutter, like and clear the slate so you have space to think.
So true. I think that's when you need to give yourself grace, to give yourself that time to do it. And I think so many
Yes.
people are, if they're like a type A personality, which I think you and I are like, we're like, no, we got to do it fast. We got to do it fast. Sometimes you have to take a step back to take that step forward.
For sure.
And that's not always easy, especially when you are clear on your vision and you know it's time to take action.
Yes.
But sometimes
For sure.
it's what you need to do in order to make the right decision. So do you make vision boards for yourself?
I do make vision boards, but I call them decision boards.
Okay.
So
Okay.
if I put something on there, it's a decision board. But I pretty much live in a state of vision. Like I don't have anything around me at any time that is not does not feel good to me. Like I hate clutter. I like things that pull me into what I want. I only listen to audibles or books that light me up. I only will talk to, like, I control a lot of my environment, like what comes in. There's so many things we can't control, obviously, but I really spend time curating like what actually helps me stay in a place of getting towards my vision. And I ask myself those questions all the time. Does this move me towards it or away from it?
Do you ever get tired?
Like physically tired or tired
Just
how?
like, hey, I want to just sort of take a break.
Well, I think I did for like those 2 years for sure.
Okay.
I mean, I shut down my fat loss program without any plan B. I mean, and that was not an easy thing. That was a huge part of my income, a lot of people counting on me. And I just knew it wasn't serving anymore. I wasn't worried because I thought, well, I've got other skills. I can take on clients. I could do things that I need to do while I'm doing it. But no, I don't think I get tired. I get tired when I'm tired, it's because I'm burnt out on that thing.
Right.
Like I was tired of fat loss and fitness. We talked about my whole team wanted me to create a membership for that for years. I didn't feel it. I was like, I don't feel, and here I have a whole membership for your next chapter. So it just depends on where my energy is and what I'm excited about.
Tell me what you do for your workouts.
Gosh, my workouts are not nearly as crazy as people think they are. So other than May gray and June gloom in San Diego, I walk every day. I just think that it's important to move our bodies. My workouts are pretty much body weight, honestly. Like I do some weights, but I'm not a huge lift heavy, but I do a lot of short workouts with intense body weight. So like a pull up for me, planks, dips, like things like that progress your body and create intensity. Those are me. So I'm active. I do not beat myself up like I used to. I used to sprint all the time and do crazy things at the track. I don't do any of that. That'll hurt. Yeah. So I don't do that, but I do keep moving. I'm a huge fan of body weight stuff.
Yeah. Isn't it funny how when we move into certain times of our life, we have to give ourselves grace. And we say, I don't need to work out at this intensity. There are other things that
I don't need an 8-pack like I used to have. And what I know, and it used to take a lot to have that. So I don't want it.
Exactly. And I think it's important for women to understand that they don't have to be so hard on themselves. That's what I see a lot of women, especially in their 50s, as they're gaining weight and going through menopause, being so hard on themselves. And I hope between the two of us, maybe we can change that conversation. I really, really do. I can't believe we're almost out of time. I knew this was going to go by so fast, but I wanted to ask you what it means for you to live a fearlessly authentic life.
It means to go for it and not worry. I mean, like we're here. I don't know what you believe listening about after this life. I don't know if you believe this is it or if there's something more. I personally have faith and believe that there's something more. And this is just an opportunity here on earth, but I'm going to maximize it. Like I'm going to maximize the time that I have here and go for it. I don't want regrets. I don't want to I don't think I'm going to be on my deathbed going, like, I don't want to have regrets there. So I just go for things and I have no plans on stopping. I want to explore. I want to travel. I want to try new things. As I step into midlife conversations right now and really focusing there, I'm sure in a decade, it'll be something else. Maybe at 90, it'll be how do you choose your best, best like end of life place. I don't know. Like
Right. But
it'll
it's
be something else.
exciting. It's
Yes.
exciting. Right.
It's always going
Right.
to be something for me.
Well, you are such an inspiration. You really are. And I love
Thanks,
what
Jody.
you're doing. And I'm so glad that we have gotten to know each other. So where can everybody listen to you, get in touch with you,
Yeah.
give us all the good stuff?
So my podcast is Midlife Conversations. So that's a great place to listen in. And if you go to midlifeconversations.com/insider, you can get on my email list, that's where I announce all new things coming from that. And then as far as everything else that I do, Natalie Jill Fit on social media. And then my original fat loss fitness website is nataliejill.com.
Well, Natalie, thank you so, so much. Everybody who's listening, please go check out Natalie's podcast and remember to rate, review, and subscribe. We have a 5-star rating. And until next week, go live your most fearlessly authentic life. Natalie, thanks again.